Hey there folks, and welcome to the Gran Turismo 7 showcase of update 1.66. Well, since I showed all the cars, the next thing to show is the engine swaps of Gran Turismo, which we got a good amount of engine swaps, but we'll start with the basic one, that is an engine swap from the Lexus LFA. Which we only have one engine swap for the LFA, which is for the Toyota GR86 Gremlin. We also did SC430, and I was strongly said SC430. But we were doing at the World Touring Car 700 at Elsos Village, where we're testing this at. So the Toyota 86 Gremlin with the LFA. I'm just gonna say, flat out, probably not that really good, to be honest. It kind of just wheels out more than it should. If anything, I would probably recommend maybe readjust the weight, because I think the weight might be off for this one, I will say. But otherwise, if I have to say immediately, it's definitely a rank C for my case, because if there's one problem I have with the LFA, and this is probably the reason why it came back, and even Toyota kind of admits this too, I believe, and the reason why they're humiliated about this is because this motor is, I'm not gonna lie, as cool sounding it really is just that. Besides being a high power naturally aspirated motor, because considering no turbos for one thing, so you can't do turbos with this. So yeah, this overall, this motor, if I had to choose between the SC430 and the LFA, probably the SC430, which is kind of worse because I think the SC430 came afterwards of the LFA in return. Funny part. I just don't think it's like a all wholly bad motor, but it's, I mean, it does have the acceleration punch to it, and it does like 202 right there, as you see on the timer. It does, I will say, eventually does 2 minutes here, but to say though, it's overall not bad. I think I did have to lean it 4 or 5 for the most part to get the 4 laps here, because yeah, it goes 4 laps around Alsace before, well, this race of Alsace here before having to refuel, so you have to take notes to that. Otherwise, for tires, you would think it spinning out would burn the rear tires, but it really don't. So it's like on one end I kind of want to consider it a bit of a B, but it's like another end, it's like this is a bit out of control for a little car at the end of the day, and it kind of tells me that maybe it's better if it's low tune, I'm gonna guess, for the most part. So yeah, if the low tune is good, I would consider it B. But if it's not much any better compared to what's sitting here, which I think is, if you want to know, it's I believe 250 miles per hour. This can go here. Or 270. It's either the 250 or 217 build, but I'm pretty sure it's a 250 build because it's in the high PP stats. If not, then it's in the 217 stats, which that might technically be good in that case. I don't know. It's very hard to say for the most part. But yeah, if I had to say as of now, where it currently stands to me, I'd say it's C. It's not bad, but I would say if I had to choose between the SC430 and this SC430, and especially that price, I'm sorry, but for that price for the LFA motor being 850, I do have to knock that down, because this motor, like I said, the only thing you're getting cool out of this is, of course, the sound that the LFA is known for. That's the biggest thing what people love about the LFA. And I can agree to that, because it's very unique for the most part, because it's constructed by Yamaha at the end of the day, which are known for pianos, musical instruments, and stuff. So, they constructed this motor, which, by sound, it's remarkable, but by performance, it's not really remarkable for the most part. Except maybe the high acceleration at the most part, but you're not ever going to utilize that, because as the saying goes, on Alsace I did it like a lean 4 to 5 for this here, which is not really that good for the most part. It's okay, but you're not ever really fully utilizing the speed that it's supposed to deliver at the end of the day. Yeah, here's basically the first split. I'm gonna show the end split too, because yeah, I did decide. Oh, I decided to pit early, matter of fact, because I think I pitted like 3 laps in, because yeah, it was like 4 laps initially, then 3 laps later, and then I pitted earlier. Which, in terms of opponents I have, it's just the Suzuki Swift behind me here. Give him chase, as always. He was there earlier, but now he's really there, which I'm not surprised. This opponent is usually the fast one when it comes to this race here, which is really strange, because I wouldn't think the Suzuki Swift's that great, but holy crap, he's showing me wrong. For the most part. But then again, like I said, the biggest problem that the A6 Gremlin with the LFA motor is acceleration stutter, if around at the performance of 700 pp. If a lot lower, it could be a lot better, but I'm not sure on that matter. It could be or could not be. But I'm assuming it's gonna be, so if anything, it's probably better if you put it on the lower side when it comes to this engine swap. Because yeah, I will say, just because you put a better motor in engine swap, there's a case where you might be better off put it in a lower setting. And there's gonna be like a bunch of cars in the future I'm gonna mention throughout in terms of engine swaps and stuff. They're gonna have that similar function to it, to say. Like example, the best one I can give is the Mini Cooper with the Civic motor, because if you high tune that Civic motor within that Mini Cooper, those front tires, they're burning off like no tomorrow. And this is a similar case that's kind of applying to this car's case for its high performance, because it really doesn't want to hit high performance at the end of it. Instead, just wants to hit a subtle performance, which is, it's fine. That's not the worst thing. And with the lesser weight compared to the LFA, because reminded the LFA weighs a lot heavier than the A6 GT here, that could be a good thing in the process, and having to use less horsepower and whatnot for it at the end of the day. So there's a possibility that this could be better than the LFA on the low performances, while on the higher performances, it's better off with the LFA for that reason alone and stuff. The more I think about it. But yeah, overall, I still kind of just say I rank C, and probably going to be the lowest one. And that's technically good, because there's no D's in this case, I will say. There's no D's and no F's, there's no bad ones, I will say, about these engine swaps entirely. And I hopefully covered all of them, but I will say I'm only covering the lower half first here, and we'll get up to the much better ones in regards. Which one of them, I don't know, sometimes I kind of debate if it's good or not. I should have did more thorough check, but then again, I gotta remember, it's also a race engine too, so that's immediately just higher rank immediately. Because I'm just gonna say, if it's ever a race motor that you can put into the car, I immediately consider that higher rank. I'm just gonna flat out say that, because that's most likely gonna make that car better, easily. Even though the bad part is, it's literally the same engine, just applied differently to the car's body at the end there, which is very interesting for the most part. And that, but yeah, I just say just kind of meh, nothing too crazy for the most part for this one. I'm not noticing here. It's like it's okay, but it's not like fast. The thing is, I can't like fully judge it because I'm not into the tryouts of the speed just yet, so I can't really say if it's like really good or really not. But I think C is probably the best answer to this car at the end of the day. It does do the job at least, so that's the good part. Because there's a reason why I did this race. This race was the reason to test these cars, see if they're optimized enough to handle such with that engine swap, because sometimes an engine swap's like really bad, sometimes it's okay-ish. It's not too crazy, but you don't want it to be crazy to begin with. Sometimes you might just want the engine swap for the acceleration purposes, I will say. Like you said, for example, since the Lexus LFA is a supercar, you kind of wonder, what if I set that Lexus LFA, detune it a bit more, and put it in a sports car body? Well, the result is something like this, for example, and stuff. So, very interesting of the things you can do in terms of these engine swaps sometimes. And then there's the obvious case, what if you gave it a racing car motor? That'd be called sticking the SC430 in it again. Once again, because yeah, like I said, if you want the better motor, it's the SC430. If you want a motor that's, I assume it's better for detune purposes, probably the LFA motor, I assume. Instead of the crazy cranking noise I got, but otherwise I kind of consider it a rank C because it's not crazy, and I do find the car should still kind of handle the high tunes at the end of the day, and they don't handle the high tunes. I don't really consider them that great, except for the point they are at, which is in detune purposes. Maybe I should have set this at 600 to be honest, but yeah. Otherwise, it's not crazy for the most part, and I will say the Gremlin's not bad, it's just not crazy for the most part. I don't know. Oh, wait, actually, yeah, I take that back. I think I did do a 600 PP setting, then I remember something. It's like, that was technically a bad setting, I think. If I did recall. I can't remember if it did do that or not, but let's say advanced, though. For now, to me, it's a C. I mean, that's where it stands. Yeah, otherwise not a bad engine swap at the end of the day, and I wanted to show at least, I don't know, I'd say about 10 minutes in this car's case. Because I gotta admit, that was a pretty good mount. So now on to the next engine swap here, which the next engine swap is the Bugatti Chiron, because there's plenty of engine swaps for this car for some reason. So this is where we see like 6 or 7 cars here, starting with the Corvette C7 ZR1, the Camaro Z01 1-Lee package, and then we got the Corvette Z06 C5 for Chiron motor, and then you got the Lamborghini Urus. I tried this one, not that great, sadly. You got the Corvette C8 for Chiron motor, which that might be the best one there, and then I'm using the current one right here, which is the Shelby GT3 350R. This is the one I'm going to be using for this run. I probably will admit, probably the Corvette C8 is probably better, but for where it stands, same case applies with the GRE6. I will say, stability-wise, it's really good. It's just the problem is fuel consumption. No matter what you use with this motor is going to eat the engine alive, or the fuel alive at the end of the day, depending on these settings at the end of the day. Either these settings or even the Tokyo Expressway is probably bad too, I'd assume. It's not the worst, but it's not there, you know. But others say I had to do like a lean 5 or 6, I believe, for this race, just to keep it at least for doing 2 laps at least, because yeah, for fuel, fuel's just not great. I mean, I'm also not surprised. It's the Bugatti Chiron motor. That's the W16 motor. That thing's heavy. That thing's crazy on acceleration. As a result of those 2 combinations of bad things you don't want to put together, fuel consumption goes bye-bye. Can it point itself to the ground? Yes. Can it get to point A to point B in a real quick, swift manner? Probably yes. But the biggest problem I have about this, and it will always apply to all cars that have the Chiron motor, fuel consumption. Fuel consumption is a big threat when it comes to cars like these for endurance races. So if anything you're going to use this for, probably just drag racing, and probably just that, for the most part. Otherwise, as a race purposes motor, it doesn't seem to be that good. But the ability, the fact you put the Chiron motor on some weaker cars like the Z06 in terms of performance, I would think that might be kind of good. There, that might be a bit better. It might not be, because you'll be able to put what's the best way to say it? Put in a lower performance setting. So that's a possibility there. But otherwise, for the Bugatti Chiron motor, just it's like not too crazy, but it's just right for the most part. And the worst part is, if there's a goal I would say the Chiron motor should be hitting, is something well past the GT3 grade in terms of performance. It doesn't hit that, so. But then again, I'm not surprised. I consider the Bugatti a super drag car more than a super car any day. Did top speed records? Yeah, but top speed is not always a thing. In terms of performance, the most important performance factor is not just top speed, but your speed average, or the fact how well you turn that car and how well you technically, by longevity means, survive. And this motor kind of just negates all that. It throws everything what was right in the window with the wrongs. Which, don't get me wrong, like being fast in acceleration is a thing to consider, but so is longevity and less of a strain to the car at the end of the day. And the Bugatti Chiron, I assume, maintenance is kind of an issue, I assume. Concerning each tire costs like 30 to 40 grand. You know, that's it. I mean, I'm not saying this is like the worst, but it's up there in terms of, basically. And otherwise, it just gets to point A to point B really quickly. I mean, it almost breaks the 4-minute mark here alone on Le Mans. But yeah, as you can see, though, I only did like 2 laps with this car at the end of the day because it was kind of just, well, considering that, like, good God, it still kind of does wheel out, though, I will mention. But it does hold the ground just about right. Not too wrong in some cases, but yeah, it tries to flow out sometimes. And yeah, I got the Sophie GT, which I gotta say, as much as I've been using that Sophie, I'm starting to not having much love in that Sophie stuff anymore. I'm starting to be regressive to it, to be honest, because the more I just see about the Sophie, the more I'm realizing how bad they just fucking cheat sometimes. It's bad sometimes. Cause yeah, you're just seeing this Hurricane perform this pace here. I don't think it performs this pace here at all, to say that. Because of how much of a speed advantage you're getting somehow, and it's weird. It's like the wind's negated or something. Because that Bugatti, or not Bugatti, but Lamborghini Huracan, that should not be hitting like 170, like no problems at all. At best I would say 165 or 8 there. Not 172, I believe it was trying to hit there. You'll see on the straightaway sometimes. But yeah, here's a funny instance. The BMW M4 decides to go in. There was no point of doing that. There was like no other point of doing that though. But yeah, overall, I really don't have much to say about the Bugatti Chiron, and I didn't even bother trying on the Corvette C8 because that just kind of felt the same, even though, I mean, it's not all-wheel drive, but it just kind of felt the same. I assume it would feel the same. So I tried it on the Shelby because it's a front-rear engine car, and that would technically work, especially when the Shelby GT350R is pretty stable compared to its GT cousin, so that I would say that works for the most part. It's just the problem is you gain more acceleration for more fuel consumption, and as a result, you're not really ever utilizing that part of the car. Especially when I had to do lean 5 or 4 just for these 2 laps here. That's pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie, because most cars that do this kind of race in a 6 fuel burn setting usually do 3. Special cases do 4. But insane if 5 over. But yeah, it's just not really that great at the end of the day. It's like you go 4 minutes in, or you go 8 minutes in, and you have to fuel, which is not crazy for the most part. Yeah, you can just see the fuel just burn away though. It's already in a double tank, or no, it's a quarter tank. That's a quarter tank. Good God, even worse. Even worse. This thing goes. Yeah, I still got the Huracan chasing after me. This thing goes. As we tried to get it to the in here. At least it hits like 190 though. That's pretty quick. I mean, then again, it better be for a huge trade-off for fuel on that matter. So I think that's, like I said, that's the trade-off you're getting. You're getting a lot of acceleration. Just the trade-off is fuel. Say goodbye to your fuel. Nah, if anything, I would say just stick with the base Shelby GT350, to be honest. You'd be good. It's better off with that for the long run. Although, I don't know, maybe there's a debate about that, because I said the Shelby also takes two laps, because there's a lot of cars that take 2 laps too. So I could be wrong. I have to test the Shelby GT350. It's been a while since I tested the GT350 Imperial style. But I assume good for the most part. Also, I hope you like the reddish wheels. I went with that. So it was kind of interesting blend. Some of the stripes there are red. So I was like, okay, let's go with the red rims. So that looks interesting. Give it that red accent look and stuff. Yep, so now just get here to the end. That's the double chicane, double bonds. It's always weird why it's a double chicane, but it is what it is. Yeah, 4 minutes and 2, which is almost breaking the 4-minute mark, so I'll give it that though. It's pretty fast. So now on to the next engine swap here, which is going to be an interesting one here. This is the Lamborghini Aventador LP754 SP 2015. Which its engine can go to the D. Tomaso Pantera 1971. So yeah, I can go to this car. So I am going to do Mount Panorama Circuit with this car based on the settings of the World Touring Car 700, if you don't know, which is, oh, I put that wrong, good. But basically I think it's like a 10 by 8, or 10 fuel burn, 8 tire burn, as I call. Yeah, I'm basically just racing against some technically supercars, but when you see that Muse GT1, that's kind of like an otherwise thing. It basically does specially modified cars and supercars on top of it. And the selfie difficulty once again, so you're ready to see them cheat hardcore. So yeah, as you can see, it's 3 laps there, because that's how much the Pantera can technically do. I don't know if I winged it or not. I probably did, but if I did, probably like 3 or 4 for the most part. Otherwise, technically not so bad for the 217 mile per hour setting, I believe I did. It's either that or 250. It's one of the two. It's usually one of the two when it comes to that. Because I can't really remember about these ones, because I did these a while back. Just to say, because I just to say, I had to go through a bunch of things just to get all together. Matter of fact, you will be seeing the part 2 after this part here. So, I will be saying to that. But for now, I need to get this first part out of the way, and then I can do the part 2. So yeah, we got like supercars here with the Pagani Hyra. So yeah, it's just crazy enough to keep up with something like that. And I've just bumped the crap out of it. Be good. Yeah, because I will say I went on a bumpy nature throughout all these tests for some reason. I don't know why I did. I just did. For the most part. And you got the Corvette C7 GR1 2019. The Aventador, the car that. Yeah, that's a little car too, with the same engine. At least the cool part with the Pantera, since it's being an MR, you technically get the OG Lamborghini feel too. It's the MR, and not only that, its tires are similarly aligned to the Countach as well. It's almost like the Pantera was trying to be the Countach at the end of the day, in some ways. And then you got the Bugatti Veyron. It's not surprised, that thing's a dragster. But as you can see though, off it goes to the fuel depot. Goodbye. Nice knowing you. And strangely to Benino, but I think I know what it's trying to do here. But yeah, even with those sportsman tires, I will say those sportsman tires are usually, when it comes to supercars, sportsman tires are usually like the best type of tires to get, I will say. Because at that point you have enough aerodynamics that you're already hitting like the sports soft range of a regular sports car, so you're set for life at that point. Unless you're a vintage supercar, or not vintage, but classic supercar like the Pantera here. Not vintage is like 75 years old, older when it comes to saying vintage, because yeah, you have retro, which is 25, yeah, classic 50. Okay, yeah, technically the Pantera is retro, but or not. Hang on, let me think. No, Pantera would be classic at this point. It's 50 years in this case, but yeah. But the Pantera with the Lamborghini SV, which I'm just going to short call it that. Well, it's a Ventador, but you know. Because there is many Lamborghinis called SVs, just to say. Because I believe that's the Superleggero saying, or Superleggero is just to the Galador. I'm not sure which on that. But to say though, this with this motor is pretty good for the most part. I would say probably a low B, not a high. Not it's like better than C, but it's not like the highest, because I just say this. I just slap that motor in and maybe adjust the height just a tad. Because I will say I also did adjust the cars a little bit. It's like, and you kind of have to when it comes to engine swaps. Because here's a big crucial thing about engine swaps: when you do these engine swaps, make sure you want this engine in that car, because if you don't, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be pretty. I'll just say that for the most part. But yeah, just looking at all these competitors trying to race back up to me, because yeah, no doubt they are fast as fuck. Considering the Hire just did like 212 there, like holy crap. But not surprised though, they're like 7 to 1,000 horsepower. So reminder, they're crazy. Especially you got the roof, or it's not roof, it's rough CTR 3 2007, and then the Veneto giving chase to me like hardcore. So 211 after pitting, that's fast, and he's about to go even faster. As Zen goes, which I'm not surprised. That Veneto is a track machine, so well, somewhat a track machine. It's like a hypercar machine. So. Because Lamborghini didn't want to push it that far, but they want to push it just really close enough to the regulations of cars and stuff. Because a Benito, I think you can drive down the road on like the current Ferraris, like LaFerrari and stuff like that. Kind of wonder about the new F series here, but we'll see on that matter. But yeah. But yeah, overall though, I would say definitely a B for this one. This one's pretty fun for what it is, and when you slap it in, it doesn't really damage it that much, I will say. Well, unless you don't buy the Rigidity upgrade. I would always recommend getting the Rigidity chassis upgrade for this, just in case. Just in case things go south. But otherwise, this is pretty stable for the most part. It just I think in one bad part, you do have to do like 3 laps, so it burns a lot. But I think that's I assume that's not a lean, but if it is a lean, then it is. But I assume it's not for the most part. Because I think for this test, I just based it on without the lean. But I will say, if you want a best answer when it comes to the World Touring 700, I would recommend 4 laps. So you will have to lean this. But yeah, look at this freaking Veneto, just freaking that brake move. What was that about? Like, I never saw that before. If that's actually a strat, I'll be shocked. Because he just like left, right, and left like a snake. Just slowly creeping up to me. I was like, good god. But yeah, that's the power of that freaking BS AI shenanigans. Because I'm sorry, that's not real. That's artificial to the T. Okay, so there's that race for the third car of the 4. So now on to the last one here, which is the engine swap from the Mazda RX-7 Spirit R Type A FD 2002. Which is just one car, which this one car definitely needed, because otherwise you weren't able to really tune this very much otherwise. Which is the Mazda Spirit Racing Roadster 12R 2025. I am doing this on Tokyo Expressway east clockwise, with the 3 times fuel burn and 12 times tire wear rate on 6 laps, based on the World Touring 600. So yeah, that race, because I wanted to see if it was that good enough to do at the end of the day, and I think safe to say it very much does. With even just 390 horsepower, because I think this hits 217. This so it's good enough to hit that high speed, and it's also keeping up with these I know. Well, technically these are supercars too, but it's like the lower supercars, so it's kind of like weird. Weird to say sometimes. I see supercars loosely because I'll answer Grade B is not one. That's just technically a sports car with a rally body. At the end of it. Then you got the Viper here, which, yeah, that's technically a supercar. It's like a super sports. Like I said, those things are ridiculously fast, as they were. Yeah, so we got the Mazda Roadster here, just trying to drive it on the way there. We got one main opponent here, which is the Aston Martin 177. That's one fast car there. It's only like 700 horsepower to my 300 horsepower. Literally double. But yeah, if you want to know a fast threat, that one. I'm sure, and I'm not surprised. That's like one of the rare cars. Is it deserved to be rare? Technically, it is an interesting design car at the end of the day, with an interesting design motor on top of it. But yeah, so for the Mazda Spirit Roadster though, overall not bad. It's basically just, which I think it's just more to the fact, because I will say I tried this on the 90s Miata, which I believe I have a tryouts video for that, I think. Either did or I canned it at the last second, I can't remember. It was on that 650pp tryouts, but on that 650pp tryouts I done the 90s Miata Roadster. I done that, and I recall it being not so great, but when you put it in this one though, it's kind of a lot better, I gotta say. Then again, I'm also not surprised because the Spirit Roadster is built differently. It has like sports suspension and everything else in it. The problem is this car costs like 120 grand, and the engine swap is not much better. It's like 200, 300 grand on top of it, so it's like it's a big old buckaroos to say if you want something like this. And so it's like you're saying you want a Mazda Spirit, or no, because you could just yeah, there's technically not much reason to get this, to be honest, unless you just want the Roadster to have RX-7 motor. I guess that's kind of just the reason at the end of the day, or you want lesser weight. I'm not really sure what's the best way to say for you at the end of the day about this car. But overall, I would say definitely in the higher B's. It's almost an A to me. It just has, I want to say a bit of a flaw to it at the end of the day, and that's, you know, it's in the Miata body. The Miata body has always been a sports car, and not ever been really a crazy tuned kind of car to say. It's just a sports car at the end of the day. But yeah, it's kind of funny though. You're able to take this little car against super odds. Like, well, not that Chevy Nova, but that Chevy Nova is something though, because it has the LS motor in it. One of the LS motors, like a LS7 or something like that. Or is it 6? It's probably 6. I'd be wrong about that, yeah. But yeah, that Chevy Nova is modified though. I will say that's not a regular Nova. But it's crazy that Nova's handling that good though. But yeah, we got some real duts here from, well, I won't say that ZR1, but that Ford GT up ahead here. That thing's a lot faster. A lot faster and a lot quicker. So beware of that one throughout this race. But yeah. I'm just trying to get up there to say, because yeah, it's only hitting like 2 minutes and 22, but that's the first lap though. I don't count that. It's the, I want to say third on downs where it matters for the most part. Yeah, I got the, which is kind of crazy. It's like I'm taking this little car against a bunch of high tune cars. I guess that's the cool part, technically. But it does hit like a crazy mile per hour speed though, like in like 180 here. So pretty crazy for the most part. Pretty dang crazy. And then, I mean, technically this Miata is more modern than the RX-7, so it might be able to deliver more performance than the RX-7 could, potentially, but I can't say for sure on that matter. I cannot say for sure on that one, I will say. But if it so happen does, then alright, in that case. I just can't really, I don't know how to sup that at the end of the day. Yep, still got the ZL1, ZR1 to go after. Because yeah, I will say the fuel burns is less, so these cars are going to be able to stick around a lot longer. Maybe just through the whole instance. Concerning the Ford GT here. So that thing ain't burning anytime too, because reminder, it has a V6 EcoBoost. A very good EcoBoost, I might add. If there's one problem I heard about the Ford GT is that if such was the case with the Valkyrie, with just being a very tight canopy body. That even the whole John Cena incident with that, I would say, because you couldn't really get in the car. So he turned around and sold it, but Ford wasn't happy about that. So he might have got outlawed or banned from selling Ford products. Or no, I think Ford turned around and tried to sue him or something like that. Can't remember exactly what. Let's give chase after this Ford GT here. Trying to outwit him. But yeah, he's a tough one though. But yeah, hitting like 214.630 there, which is not bad, but not crazy. For the most part. Let's see here on this time. Because the biggest goal when it comes to beating the Will Torn 600 is that time there. In times like that is really good. 212.272, that's really good. I will say for fuel burn wise, I think he got like maybe the three-fourths of the last basically. So because normally the Will Torn 600 is 12 laps, I did only 6 because I only want to show half the scale for this case. But safe to say it does the 6 laps, and that's the most important part. If it does any more, that's just bonus. Right. And with the RX-7 motor, which I'm not surprised, because reminder, you go against the White Rabbit. That is the RE Mamiya one. So yeah, this thing shows, shows the same kind of thing with the other ones, except maybe more top speed, I would say, for the most part. It has like a bit more. I don't want to say control because the RX-7 definitely has control, but this one, it's more straight beeline, I would say, in a good way. Alright, so I'll see the rest of this at the end there, which I'm showing the Vipers and stuff, because I might as well just show the whole thing at the end there, because yeah, I want to do the custom events instead of the regular events, even though I did the regular event in one case. That's fine either way. I wanted to just showcase like what kind of opponents you could also technically go against in some cases if you put yourself in a scenario like this. But yeah, I will say, yeah, this is at 700 PP for sure, or not 700 but 600 PP for sure. Because if you go check the screenshots for the areas I put the race, I also put the car there so you can see the exact stats for Delta 2 on top of it. So make sure to pause and look at those stats too, just if you really want to. At the end of it. Yeah, it's just kind of funny seeing the Chevy Nova with the Lava GT, couple of things. Yeah, it makes me wonder if we're gonna ever get the regular Lava for the most part. And then we have the Jaguar XJ220. The other V6 that a lot of people dread it. This thing does. That's funny stuff on that. Even though it turns out that's a really good car at the end of the day. They didn't really, I mean, the problem was it was supposed to be a V12, and a lot of people didn't like it. It wasn't a V12, it was a V6 twin turbo instead. But you can, I will say, if you really want that V12, you can always engine swap it, because you can stick the XJR9 motor in it. So in case you just want that raw Jaguar experience video. That's a race car motor, because I will say, like I said, any race car motors, they're going to go up on the high ranks immediately. That's like example, that SC430 motor that you could do to the Grumman, you can put that in the truck. Put that in the Tundra truck, which that helps it big time. Because yeah, I will say, in terms of trucks, if you want the fastest truck in terms of longevity means, it'll be the Tundra. Now by sprint means, probably the Maverick with the Ford Raptor, I'd assume. Cause yeah, you can stick the Maverick motor in the Ford Raptor. Cause yeah, I don't know if I'll ever go back and revisit the previous engine swaps. I'll just visit the newer ones for now. But if I do, I do have to like re-look back at notes, like way back in terms of update notes, to see what engine swaps are there and what engine swaps weren't there and stuff. It's gonna be hell of an investigation, I'll just say that. Just to figure out what engine swap went to what on that update. If I wanted to cover that or not at the end of it. I kind of debate, but I kind of just want to cover it just for the showcase. That's really about it. For the recent showcase, which I say recent loosely since it's already been like January at this point, but apparently there might not be an update for this month anyways. Because apparently, from what I'm hearing, that the updates are going to be slowing down and people are thinking Gran Turismo 8 is going to happen now. Because I guess Cass decided to say, fuck it, let's go to Gran Turismo 8 maybe. If so, if that's true or not. But it's probably just rumor mill. It's just probably rumor mill at the most part. The other thing to mention is that we may not get an update like every 2 months now, I'm guessing, or something like that for the most part. I mean, I could be downright wrong. They could do like month out of the month, but for January here, it sounds like there's not going to be one. It seems, considering it's the 22nd as of now in terms of January. It's going to be 23rd tomorrow once I upload this. And stuff. And then 24th for the other one. But yeah, I am sorry that this took a whole while for me to get to it at the end of the day, but I just wanted to make sure like everything was very thorough about the things I wanted to say at the end of the day. Even though I'm gonna admit I'm not gonna be like perfect, because like I said, I still kind of think like maybe if I did that LFA motor less, it probably would have been up to the B's. So just to say, that's possible that could be B's. Because I ain't gonna be fully factual on my ranks. I'm gonna be like partially factual. It's like what I see in it at the end of the day, and what was kind of just the best chosen for that reason. Well, except for the Mustang GT, I just want to do the Mustang GT because it looked interesting because it was an FR with the Bugatti motor in the front instead of the mid section what the Corvette C8 was gonna do at the end of the day. Yeah, that basically wraps that for this first part of the engine swaps, people. So I can see you guys next time. Until then, you enjoy the rest of the switch here, which this is where it gets kind of real bad between me and the 4GT here. So until then, people, I'll see you guys on next time. And until then, you guys take care. Ciao and stuff. Also get blocked, Angus.